Hi everyone, it's Vicki. Welcome to my channel. And today we are doing another Tasting the States. Now, if you watched last week's, we did Minnesota tater tot hot dish. And at the end of the video, I drew the next state, which would be the one I'm doing now, and it was Utah. Unfortunately, the Utah recipe that I picked out is very similar to the tater tot recipe. A frozen potato product, canned soup, that sort of thing. So I said, I really don't want to do those two in a row, so I put it back in, I redrew, and I got Louisiana. That's why I'm wearing Mardi Gras beads, very giant Mardi Gras beads, I might add. So today, instead of a funeral potatoes from Utah, we are going to do, can you tell? Gumbo from Louisiana. Now, Louisiana is close to my heart because as a child, young child, elementary school child, I lived in Louisiana for a couple of years in New Orleans. So I've kind of grown up with Louisiana cooking. I still have relatives there. Jerry and I have been back to New Orleans like 4 times in the last 10 years or so. So yeah, so anyway, and gumbo is something that I make. I don't make it often because I do not enjoy making a roux, and that's going to be the first part of this, but we'll get through it and you'll help me get through it. So let's just start with the ingredients that I've assembled here that we're going to need. I vaguely follow a recipe from the Cajun Creole cookbook that, this is a 1986 edition, and I've had it since about then, so this is the old cookbook. Okay, so I'm going to start with the spices over here. We're going to need salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, and if you want cayenne pepper. You're also going to need vegetable oil, and I use vegetable oil and bacon grease. The recipe is going to call for lard. I don't usually cook with lard. You're going to need chicken stock, a bunch of chicken stock. I have a bag of rice here because traditionally it is served with rice in the bottom of the dish and then the gumbo on top, or straight gumbo. My family tends to serve it with a side of potato salad. I actually like the rice under it. And at least this way you can choose whether it's in there, unlike the jambalaya, which it's part of the dish. All right, then I'm going to move over to the veggies. So you're going to need onions, some parsley, which you could leave out if you wanted, okra, which still needs to thaw a little bit before we use it, green onions, spring onions, scallions, whatever you want to call them. I have grown up calling them green onions. You're going to need a green bell pepper, a whole cup of it. So mine need a little extra. I have a red one. I also have a yellow and orange, but it calls for green, and which is nice because there's a lot of red ingredients. Then you're going to need celery, and that's all the veggies, but you're also going to need a cup and a half of all-purpose flour, which I don't think I have enough of, but I got bread flour, we'll see. All right, then you're going to need, I'm making a chicken and a douay sausage, or chicken and sausage gumbo, so you're going to need chicken. I got this, let's see, how many pounds is this? 4.28 pounds from Aldi, and it is 6 chicken breasts for $10.66. And there's 6 of them. The recipe calls for 8. And I thought, oh, I don't have enough, so I bought 2 more at Publix, and for those 2 it costs pretty much the same as it did for these 6 at Aldi. However, then I reread the recipe and it's for 6 half breasts, cut in half, you know. So I think what it really means is 4 breasts. I don't know, I'm going to use these 6, and we're just going to call it. Gumbo isn't, to me, a recipe that you have to follow exactly, so we'll see. Oh, there's one more ingredient, hold on. Sorry about that, I always leave this item out. There's minced garlic, or as I'm going to use, jarlic. All right, so that was the chicken, so now the sausage. I did buy a douay, which is a smoked sausage, Louisiana smoked sausage, but I don't know how spicy it is. So I went ahead and bought a beef smoked and a kielbasa, because you can use other sausages. Like sometimes I don't even use a douay. I think it adds to the flavor, but if it's spicy, then we just can't eat it. Okay, so I've decided, just to be on the safe side, I am going to make the recipe exactly as in the book, or pretty close to it. I have not really looked at this recipe in years. I just make it from my head. And I decided, just to make sure I don't mess it up or something. Let's just follow the rules. But part of it is to make a seasoning mix. Now I'm supposed to be doing a half a teaspoon of each of these 5 spices right here, which are garlic, pepper, salt, onion, and paprika, and of course cayenne, which I'm not going to include. But instead, I am going to make a much bigger batch in this little thing and save it, and then I can just use my 2.5 teaspoons of it. That's what the total, since they're all the same measure, then it's easy to do the math there. So I'm going to do a tablespoon of everything in my this little container here. Pull it out here where you can see it. See, that's what's going on. And you know, if you get just a little extra of something, you know, gumbo's a pretty big dish, so yeah. And the next step, the first step isn't making the roux in this. See, that's what I normally do first, but it isn't. It is to season and cook chicken. So, okay. So let's just make us. Oh boy, I almost smell like cannabis. I don't know why. Oh, here we go. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I normally do the roux first, but it's going to make me, whew, pepper can really get to you, you know? And finally, the garlic. Now, this doesn't say garlic powder, it says granulated garlic. I got it from Costco. I also have some garlic powder, but I think it should be about the same thing. Just gonna put the lid on it. So now I have a gumbo seasoning. I'm not used to cooking the chicken first. Just either I'm using leftover chicken or rotisserie chicken, or I just put it in the soup and let it cook. But this asks you to cook it first, so I'm going to do it that way, but I will be perfectly frank, that's not what I normally do. All right, I'm going to make a second helping of this, and then we'll be back. Okay, I've got it started, a bunch of it done here. And all I'm doing is taking the chicken breast, making long slices, and then turning them and cutting them again the other direction to make what they call bite-sized pieces. I have a variety of sizes for bite size, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I've never done this way before. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. And by the way, my cutting board is not dirty, it's burnt. Yes, I burnt my cutting board at one time. All right, so I'll see you on the next step. Okay, the chicken's all cut up into bite-sized pieces. I have to give it to Aldi. The amount of waste on this chicken was like just fit into just this part of my palm of my hand. It was very clean. I was impressed. Okay, so we have our seasoning mix that we made, and it wanted a half a teaspoon of 6 spices, which would be 3 teaspoons now that they're all joined together. So it says to give it to it liberally, can't say it. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. We are just spreading it around. Woo! Didn't do a great job on that. I'm gonna have to, it's my 3rd one, right? Yeah, oh, just do a little bit more. So I'm just gonna move this around in here so that everything gets coated, because I was looking at the camera to make sure everything, that you could see it, and didn't spread it quite as evenly as I would have liked to. So we just wanna make sure the chicken is kind of evenly coated. Yeah, this is a step I don't recall ever doing before. So I am anxious to see how it turns out in comparison. All right, so there we go. Now this sits for 30 minutes, and then we'll be back for the next step. Okay, so the next step is going to be to flour this chicken. But before I do, I just want to show you where I did cut off a little piece of the adieu and sampled it, and it is not spicy. Here's the brand. It is delicious. It says it's a small batch pecan smoked sausage. If it's spicy, it's really so light spicy, I'm not even tasting it. I had just eaten a fig Newton, so. Anyway, so let's get to this. So we're just gonna put this seasoned chicken in a bag with 1.5 cups of flour. Luckily I did have enough. All right, so I just got it in the bag. I'm just going to close her up and toss it in the flour. I'm doing this in 2 batches, you can tell. Okay. Now, I'm going to contaminate my hand. I'm going to put it in the sifter, which is going to go in this bowl, so I can get some of the flour off of it. And yeah, I feel better about touching it when it has the flour on it. There it is. I have a beautiful copper colander. I almost pulled it out to use it. However, I've had it so long and used it so much, it looks pretty rough. Well, the chicken looks good though. It just like whitened the chicken. Yeah, chicken looks good. It's just a nice even light coat. And now I got this that I can put back in here. And I put the rest of the chicken in here. And I am reserving that extra flour for something in another step, I believe. All right, again, the chicken just looks white, dusted. And it is all ready for the next step. Okay, I've got my Dutch oven with the oil and the, it's half oil and half bacon grease. And I'm just gonna put these in and move them with a slotted spoon to, you know, to drip here in batches. But I'm not gonna be able to film and do this at the same time because I just predict this will make a mess. Looking good. When it browned on all sides, and I'm going to remove it. Batch 1 is out. Batch 2 is fine. By the way, it is on a medium-high heat, in case you're wondering. Okay, I did my best at straining everything out of there that I could, and then I put enough oil and more bacon grease into it to bring it to a cup. So now we're going to start the part I don't like, making the roux. Alright, what I'm doing, put the flour back in there that was left over. I added just a little bit more because it looks a little light. And now I am going to whisk this over a medium-low heat for 45 minutes.
Later.
I had to call in reinforcements to get the veggies cooked. Because when this is almost ready, you need to throw that in. And that is known in Cajun cooking as the Holy Trinity. It is bell pepper, celery, and onions. It's been almost an hour. I give up. It's not going to get any darker. I don't think it doesn't look like it's changed any. So let's go ahead and add this vegetables in. So add them in all at once. And then we're going to cook them. Put that in there. This is when it begins to smell really good. Change tools here. There we go. Keep stirring because we don't want to burn anything. I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so this is how it's looking. I'm gonna have to turn that up, I think, to cook these. At this point, it smells a little bit like Chinese stir fry. But I think we'll be adding spices in. We used them on the chicken, and I don't see in the recipe where it's telling me to put them in again, but maybe I just haven't got back down that far. Pour the stock in slowly. I think I'm gonna have to switch pots, so that's just... Yeah, it's thickening up like a slew. Just see how this looks. Kind of awful, actually. Yeah. It's not pretty when you at this stage of the game. Okay. See how thick it is? It's like a gravy because it's oil and fat, and then you add in a liquid, a stock. They do make roux commercially. I guess they're in the freezer section. I don't know. Okay, so I switched pots because that Dutch oven is not going to hold it all. All right, so I should just be able to pour the next two in because there shouldn't be any problem. And then what I'm going to do is bring it to a boil, full rolling boil. And then I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer. Yeah, it's not as dark the color that I like, but you know, I could not get that roux any darker. Doesn't look like much, does it? Not yet, at least. We got lots of goodies to go in here. Okay, we got our full rolling boil. So we're going to turn this down. And we are going to add some other ingredients. Sausage. Maybe some hit the floor. Luckily, some hit the stove. And then we're going to add some salt, pepper, and garlic. I'm not going to measure. All right, so next we're going to put in the chicken, and then we'll bring it back to a boil and then turn it down and let it simmer again. But just for knowledge sakes, it's supposed to be 1.5 teaspoons of minced garlic. I probably put in at least twice that. Salt, I just sprinkled across the top. I tasted it. It definitely needed salt. And I didn't put a ton of black pepper in there. And I put in no cayenne because it turns out the Douai does have a little heat to it, but it's not a red pepper. It is black pepper. So the chicken is in too. You can see the chicken. Oop. And what we're going to do is we are going to bring this to a boil and let it simmer 25 minutes. And then we'll add in the okra and we'll let it cook 20 minutes. And then we'll turn it off when we're done cooking it, and we will add parsley and green onions. And that will be the end of our ingredients. Okay, okra's in. So bringing it back to a simmer. Last step is the okra. I did take a piece of chicken out to see how it tasted. I was worried because these pieces ended up being so big. It's like they swelled up or something. Or I just had a bunch of bigger pieces than I thought I did. Anyway, so I took one out. It was delicious and tender and great. I was really worried it wasn't going to be because it's so big, you know. But yeah, it was delicious. So okra's in. You can see it's bright green right now. It will darken. I did adjust the spices by putting in a little more salt, which is weird for me. I'm not a salt lover, but it needed just that little more edge. Half cup. Close enough. The oil kind of separates on the top. Maybe that's why they want you to use lard, huh? All right, taste test time. Okay, we're ready. As you saw, I have my rice and gumbo. I have my potato salad and my iced tea. Only thing missing is my napkin, but we'll get by. It was a long afternoon of cooking. All right, let's give it a try. I'm going to taste just the juicy part first. Nice flavor. I know one of my friends would immediately add salt. but I'm kind of a salt-free person, so getting a little bit of pepper, not a lot. Nice with the rice. Okay, I'm gonna eat a piece of the chicken. Oh, hot, hot. The edges I just ate from weren't that hot. The center, yes. The chicken is nice. And frankly, I think it looks better. I think it's more appealing when it's all shredded looking than it is with these big, like these chunks, you know. I don't find them as appealing looking, but that's just me. All right, we tried the sausage. I'll eat a little sauce with it and a little bit of rice with it. I changed beads. Yeah, it's not coming across too spicy. Just at the very end, you get just a little bit, but it's a black pepper spice, not a cayenne spice. I didn't make this. I bought this at Publix. A nice accompaniment, because where this is, you know, has that little bit of spiciness, and it's a very hot dish in terms of thermal, not spice. This is nice and cooling. So I think they are a nice twinning or pairing. Okay, so let's talk about Louisiana. It's obviously a state in the deep South, and it's known for its unique blend of French, Spanish, African, and American cultures, which are reflected in its music, its cuisine, and festivals like the Mardi Gras. Its capital is Baton Rouge, and its largest city is New Orleans, famous for its French Quarter and jazz music. Louisiana is the only U.S. state with political subdivisions called parishes instead of counties, and is bordered by Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi, with the Gulf of Mexico to its south. Culture, it's a melting pot of cultures with strong French, Spanish, African, and French-Canadian influences. The heritage is evidenced in its Creole and Cajun cultures. Mardi Gras is a famous and vibrant festival celebrated in New Orleans and other parts of the state. I think everybody's probably heard of Mardi Gras. It's renowned for its unique and flavorful cuisine, including dishes like gumbo. The state is the birthplace of jazz music and has a rich musical tradition. My relatives enjoy jazz festival, I think that's what it's called, more than they even enjoy Mardi Gras. In fact, I think they enjoy football, LSU football, and Tulane more than Mardi Gras. But they like Mardi Gras too. Architecture, yes, the state features beautiful architecture. This is true, particularly in the historic French Quarter of New Orleans, also in the Garden District. It's a sportsman's paradise because it's abundant with natural resources and opportunities for outdoor activities. Yeah, the state's name comes from Robert de La Salle, who named it in honor of King Louis XIV of France. The state flower is the magnolia. The nickname is Bayou State, okay. Child of the Mississippi, Creole State, Pelican State, Sportsman's Paradise, and Sugar State. And they do grow some sugar cane, that's for sure. When I was there, what was it, 2 years ago? I went on a Mississippi River cruise from New Orleans to Memphis. And one of the excursions at one of the places where we stopped, we went by so much sugarcane, and a lot of volunteer sugarcane in the ditches and areas that aren't being farmed. It just spreads, apparently. All right, time for another bite. The recipe is tasty. There are a zillion recipes out there. So if you're ever in the mood to try gumbo, make gumbo, one of the things I would do different, I kind of follow this recipe, you know, pretty much as it said. But what you really need to do is prep everything first. Because once you get into making that roux, you're basically tied to it. So I get everything else done first, everything cut up, everything laid there, maybe even in the order you're going to use it or something. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to make a roux, which is basically a fat and flour, and you're going to cook it forever till it says 45 minutes. I cooked it an hour, and it still didn't get as dark as I wanted. My gumbo's a little light in color, but so was it last time, and it was so good the second day. And this will be even better tomorrow. So Anyway, so you're gonna make the roux, and then you're gonna put in your vegetables, which is the Holy Trinity, bell pepper, celery, onion. You're gonna put that in, cook that a bit till it's, softened up. And then you're gonna start adding in everything else, and you're gonna keep cooking it. And you usually end up cooking after you put that in, at least an hour after you start putting stuff in, like in this case, chicken and sausage, but it could be shrimp, it could be whatever. But I would put in shrimp later in the cooking process, actually. But anyway, I have made seafood gumbo before. And so that's basically what it is. You make a roux, and then you add all these other things to it. So it's definitely yummy, and I believe that, from what I've heard, that there are families who have, their own recipes and, passed down in their families, while another family makes it a different way. And I don't know, not really competition, but, friendly competition, I guess. Oh, we need to draw next week. I'll be right back. Oh, Connecticut. So we are going to go far away from Louisiana. All right, so join me next week to see what Connecticut food we're going to make. Till then, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And tell me what you think about if you've made gumbo, if you like gumbo, and if you decide to make it, just wear comfortable shoes because you're going to be standing at the stove. But that's in every recipe. But again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Really appreciate you all watching and commenting and liking the videos.